Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose. It's lovely to see you here this morning. Let us start our celebration service by standing up and singing together our congregational song. So today we celebrate the graduation of our 4 new practitioners. Ladies and gentlemen, Dina Sherry, Lacey Weston, Linda Drevenstedt, and Mary Kerrigan. Come on in. You're good. You can this way. Yeah, there you go. Woo-hoo! You're good. Thank you. Okay. So just to let you know, in case you've never been here before, licensed practitioners are people who have dedicated their hearts and minds to spiritual service. It is the practitioner's business to uncover love hidden in wholeness in every single person and to reveal truth about all beings. To reach this stage has taken years and years of dedicated study and personal growth. It is also a practitioner's business to come alive and inspire others. And so in keeping with the theme of this service, I'm asking each of the new fabulous 4 to say, a few words about what does it mean to make you come alive as a practitioner. Go for it, Dina.
I think it's on. No, it's not. It is. It's on. Okay. What brings me alive as a practitioner? It's the study and further questions and journey of figuring out who I am and what we all are. It's the sparks between us in these explorations of the biggest questions. It's the excitement of grappling with the immensity and the simplicity of it all.
All right.
Hi, everyone. Glad you're here. What comes alive for me, especially in the growth of becoming a practitioner, is the sense that I can make a difference in the world, and I can do it in a way that is kind and loving and bring some light where things aren't always as light as we'd like them to be, and that I can really be of service on a one-to-one basis for people when they need it, to remember the truth of who they are. And the sense of community that we have here, it makes me really excited to know that I'm really going to be able to give back in significant ways that it means the world to me. So that's why I decided to be a practitioner.
Thank you.
This 5-year journey for me has just brought an immense loving kindness into my life. My ego has been in charge for a lot of years and given me lots of judgments, lots of over-expectations, but this journey has brought me closer to a walk with the divine, the spirit within, and the ability to love not only myself, but all y'all.
Thank you.
So music is a powerful force, and what makes me come alive is being able to be the choir director here, work with other musicians and choir members, and bring music to my spiritual community. Music that can uplift us, inspire us, and transform us.
Thank you, Mary. All right, you guys. Good job. That was awesome. Let's give them all a big round of applause. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Okay, all right. So our newest practitioners are here this morning because of the dedication and inspiration of those who went before them. Our Center for Spiritual Living practitioners have taught them, prayed with them, laughed with them, served with them, and participated as shining examples of grace and humility for all of us. And so would all the practitioners and ministers that are affiliated with this church please join us on stage? I'm going to get out of the way. Thank you. You're okay. You're good. Am I okay if I stand here? You can see, right? Okay, so you guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for being who you are, and thank you for supporting our 4 newest friends here as part of this sacred circle. For the 4 newest practitioners, this part is for you, okay? It's for all of us, really, but it's directed at you. You have chosen a pathway in life that is rich and fulfilled with spiritual discoveries. To serve as a professional practitioner is to lead those who look to you for spiritual guidance into an acceptance of the wholeness of spirit in all things. And for this work, you are well prepared. Your deep understanding of principle, of human nature, your compassion, will be called upon by those who look to you for the living demonstration of our teaching. You have been licensed as professional practitioners. Therefore, it is right and fitting that you pledge your alignment and allegiance to the center in whose name you will perform your healing art. So for the 4 of you, as practitioners of religious science for the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living, do you commit yourself to the following? Do you promise to anchor yourself in the VCSL vision with prayer, revealing wholeness in all things? If so, please say, I do. I do. Thank you. Do you promise to wholeheartedly practice principles of loving kindness? If so, please say, I do. I do. Do you promise to serve humbly and helpfully? I do. Okay. Do you promise to deliberately cultivate insight and self-care? I do. Okay. Do you promise to be love, share love, and serve love? Good job, okay. And then to all of the practitioners, to everyone, you guys get to join in with this too. Do you promise to recommit to the vows that we just stated? If so, please say, I do. I do. Thank you. And do you promise to be love, share love, and serve love? If so, please say, I do. I do. And do you promise to support the newest members of your core with your kindness and your wisdom? If so, please say, I do. I do. Good, okay, great. So, you have all joined together in the art of dedication, which is the outward expression of your inner conviction, which you have already made with your soul. And through this consecration, you place yourself in a special relationship with all of us, with your center, and within the world at large. You know the truth, and you will reveal it to all who seek it, so that they too may be free. And now we'll present the new practitioners with their stoles. Yay! And Chris is going to play some music under. And Judy's going to say their names. Okay. Okay.
Dina Sherry.
Dina, you're such a beautiful example of loving kindness to me. Thank you so much for being my teacher. I love you. And I know you're going to do great things as a practitioner. Thank you. And you know what? I can walk. Dina, I'll walk. Here, come back here. Come back here. We changed it. I'm going to walk. Okay. It's all good.
Lacey Weston. Linda Drevenstadt. Mary Kerrigan.
And so to the congregation, behold the practitioners of the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. Do you promise to honor them, respect them, and lean on them? Will you acknowledge them as the healing arm of the center? And will you too be love, share love, and serve love in your relationship with them? If so, please say, we will. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please repeat after me. We love you. We bless you. We believe in you. You are the face of God. And so it is. Here we go. Yay! Face of God. You are the so sweet. Thank you. All right, so we just breathe in deeply and allow ourselves to be with all that is, with all that's being stirred up, all of the beauty, all of the power, all of the joys, all of the sorrows. And we rest in this sacred moment, and we go deeper as we listen to the words of our sacred reading.
Choose Something Like a Star by Robert Frost. O star, the fairest one in sight, we grant your loftiness the right to some obscurity of cloud. It will not do to say of night, since dark is what brings out your light. Some mystery becomes the proud, but to be wholly taciturn in your reserve is not allowed. Say something to us we can learn by heart, and when alone repeat, say something. And it says, I burn. But say with what degree of heat? Talk Fahrenheit, talk centigrade. Use language we can comprehend. Tell us what elements you blend. It gives us strangely little aid, but does tell something in the end. And steadfast as Keats' eremite, not even stooping from its sphere, it asks little of us here. It asks of us a certain height. So when at times the mob is swayed to carry praise or blame too far, we may choose something like a star to stay our minds on and be stayed.
And so it is. And so in this moment, let us do what the poet said. Let us choose something like a star, something that is vast and eternal, yet also very personal. I am is the name of God, of love, of that which created all things, the void out of which everything arises. And in this sacred moment together, we remember for ourselves and for one another, we remember who I am, which is the truth of our existence, the eternal quality that lives and moves and has its perfect being within us. As we remember for ourselves, as there is only one of us, we remember for all beings everywhere. We remember for the entire universe that all is the I am. Let us sing together, I am remembering. And in this beautiful remembrance, let us breathe in deeply. And then exhale, opening our eyes in love and service to what is, as it is, and so it is. All right. Yeah. My whole talk just flew out of my head. That's all right. I'll find it again. It'll fly back in. Some of you who attend here regularly know that I was away last weekend and I was attending a service space retreat. And Service Space is an organization that I volunteer with outside of the church that inspires me greatly, and I bring that inspiration back here. It's founded by a man named Nipun Mehta, who has this very large organization called Service Space that is global, and they have, I don't know, 500,000, 700,000 members, something like that. And they bring some of the key players in once a year to do a retreat. Now, I've been invited before as a key player. This time I was invited because my rabbit chewed a hole in my shirt. My rabbit, Bigfoot, who has really, we should have named him Big Teeth because he's very active in terms of chewing. I had a service space t-shirt and he chewed a hole in it, and I emailed Nipun and said, can I get another service space t-shirt? And he said, why don't you come up and get it yourself, come to our retreat. So you see how things happen? You see how things happen? It's a miracle. So anyway, I got to attend this retreat with all of these people that are doing great work in the world. There was an astrophysicist there, and somebody from the Baha'i faith who's a college professor, and there was a person who drafted the Iraqi constitution, and somebody else who was working in government in Costa Rica, and people doing quieter things. Somebody was putting kindness videos in the subway, in the tube in London. And I was there with a chewed-up shirt, but I was there, and I felt so comfortable sitting at that table because of all of you. Because of all of you. Because the work that we are doing here in this center is wonderful. It is great. And right now, I want to dispel this rumor that I've been hearing that I'm going to run off with Nipun and work in service space. I am not. That's not what service space is about. Service space is empowering all of us to ripple all of these effects outwards into the world, to ripple kindness into the world, to ripple goodness, to ripple generosity, to ripple grace. So that's what we're doing with service space. That's what I'm doing with service space. I am here. And I just turned 60 yesterday. I think I got another 10 years left in me. So there you go. One of the things that organizations like Service Space and like this church encourage us to do is exactly to choose something like a star. I'm going to tell you a little bit what I think that means. When I was up there in Marin, the sky was so beautiful because there was not a lot of light, a lot of ambient light, so you could see the stars really, really closely. And the astrophysicist brought his telescope, and we looked at it, and he knew right where to point it, and I looked in, and there was this little planet with rings around it, and it was Saturn. It looked fake. It looked fake. Like, seriously? Did you not just paint that on the glass there? But anyway, I was chatting with several people about stars, about how when we look at a star is so far away, particularly if we're looking at it through a telescope or through the Hubble telescope, that it can take billions of years for that light to reach us. The closer stars take a matter of minutes or days, but the faraway stars are already different. We are looking at the star as it was billions of years ago. Is that not incredible? It's amazing. So when you choose something like a star, you are choosing something that is vast and unknowable and wild and beyond what our human imaginations can imagine. And yet, at the same time, it is strangely infinite and intimate as well. How about that? Intimate and infinite. How do we sort that out? One of the best quotes that I've heard about what I think it means to choose something like a star is from Howard Thurman, and I'm going to paraphrase because my notes are way over there and I don't want to walk over there. Howard Thurman wrote, "Do not ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and do that. Because the world is in need of people who come alive." So this morning, we are asking ourselves what makes us come alive. We are asking ourselves what makes ourselves come alive, and then making a commitment to follow those principles that rise up within us and want us to express our good and our light in the world. You know why I know this is true? Why that statement is true? Why choose something like a star is true? Because one day, 3 mystics walked into a bar. Mother Teresa, Rumi, and Joni Mitchell. And they were having a 3-way conversation. Perhaps it was a throuple. Do you know what throuple is? Sorry, my nephews are in town. We were all singing with the choir. My nephews always tell me the latest words. A throuple is like a couple, but with 3 people. Now, let's call it a mystical throuple, okay, just so we don't go to a dark place. But anyway, they're having this conversation, and Mother Teresa says, "You are a drop in the ocean, and the ocean would not be the same without you. Rumi chimes in and he says, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. And then Joni Mitchell says, wait a minute, I thought we were stardust. We are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. So the three of them, maybe it was perhaps a law of three scenario, affirming, denying, reconciling, they reconciled with this. Not only are we a drop in the ocean, but we are also the ocean in the drop, and not only are we the dust in a star, but we are the star in a dust. You got that? You know what that means to all of you? Shell. Shell's over there shaking his head. I don't know what it means. It means that you are stars and your job is to shine. Your job is to shine your light. Your job is to choose something like a star. Your job is to choose to shine. And that means showing up on purpose and honoring your highest aspirations. The things that make you come alive, honoring that. The world is confusing. It seems even more confusing to me now than it was back in the days of covered wagons when I was born, because I just turned 60. I think something that has long been suppressed, particularly in our society, in our busyness, in our frenzy, and our desire to get it right, is joy. And some people don't even know what makes it come alive, what makes them come alive. And I would suggest that you look and see what brings you the greatest joy. One of my good friends that I hike with, who is an avid surfer, quotes a surfer whose name I cannot remember right now, but this surfer says, if you're looking at a bunch of surfers, the one out there who is the most successful surfer is the one who is having the best time. You get that? What if that is a new measure of success for all of us? That we're in joy. And that there are all kinds of joy. I'm talking about joy that is that is heartfelt, joy that is reverent, joy that is irreverent, joy that is bawdy, joy that is rowdy, joy that is quiet, joy that is simple, joy that is complex. It's possible that it's all joy, and that we have a right to experience joy. Not only do we have a right, but Pablo Neruda says we have a duty to express our joy, and that we do that through singing our unique song. So take a moment and think about an area in your life where you have been neglecting your joy, and make a commitment to honor that from this day forward. Honor your joy. So if we're in joy, it means that we're in our purpose. But what about all those times when we're in our purpose, or we suspect that we might be in our purpose, but we're terribly afraid? We are very, very afraid. Has anybody gotten a great idea that they know is purposeful, that they know is their highest aspiration, and been terrified of it? Anybody? Raise your hands. Anybody? Yeah. So it's like my whole life. You know, I didn't want to get a dog. I didn't want to run a church. I didn't want to go to India. I was afraid of all of those things. Didn't want to do them. And well, hello, here I am. So you know, often fear is not an indication that you are not on purpose. Fear is just a call to wake up. Fear is a way of saying, this is really important to me, or I wouldn't be so fearful. I remember one of the first things I learned when I went to music school, the guidance counselors actually told us this, and they were all sitting in a room, and we were all terrified because we were freshman music students, and they said, you are afraid because this is very, very important to you. Fear can be a barometer of importance, and you still have to deal with it. You know, I think what happens with fear is that we give it way too much power. We give it way too much power by letting it stop us, but we also give it too much power by trying to push it away, right? If we try and push fear away, that affirms that that fear is so powerful that it can overtake us. So instead, why don't we befriend our fear? How many of our practitioners here that we're celebrating today had moments of fear on the journey from becoming a normal person to becoming a practitioner? Just raise your hands. Oh, so quite a few. Oh, wow, that's shocking. Okay. Give me back that stole, Doreen. No, I'm kidding. So No, and they all had their hands up, and I'm not making anybody give back their stole because it's so normal and it's so beautiful to be able to acknowledge fear. And it's even better to be able to acknowledge the fear when we are in it and not let it overtake us and not give it too much power. We acknowledge it and we befriend it. We befriend it by saying, this is not my enemy, this is my counselor that feelingly reminds me what I am. Sweet are the uses of adversity. Thank you, Shakespeare and Hugh. So we befriend fear, and you know what happens with that? Is that pretty soon, fear and joy become one. You start to recognize that when you are in fear, something really important is at stake, and there's this little undercurrent of joy that is bubbling underneath your fear, and then you get skilled and more skilled and more skilled at working with it, so that you can step forward into shining your light in an even greater way. The third thing that I want us to acknowledge today is to take a moment to recognize when you really are in alignment with your true purpose, and to recognize that your true purpose is greater than a job description. When I was up in Marin last week, I had this moment of alignment. I had stepped into the meditation room, and this man that I'm friends with, his name is Birju, he's Indian, and he came up to me and he said, "What is going on with you? You look really strange." And I said, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I just came alive. And what had happened was they do a community night for, it's not that big, it's about 80 to 100 people, but they invite people that are, for lack of a better word, intimidating. There's like people that have done a lot in the world and famous authors and whatnot. So there's a lot of pressure on the service-based volunteers to do something really special for them. And Nipun had asked me and somebody else, a young man from Spain named Josera, to MC it. And that was fine. But when I was talking with Nipun and Josera about the actual act of putting it together, of putting all the puzzle pieces together, all of it, I could see the tension in Nipun's face of the 20 million, 20,000, whatever, 200 things he had to do. And all of a sudden, I just knew. I said, Nipun, I got this. I can take this from you. This is what I do every week. This is what I do in a big way at Christmas. This is what I do every time we have an event. Just give it to me. And he gave it to me so willingly, and I felt like it was a chiropractic alignment of grace. I just felt my spine and my energy and everything go into place because I know exactly what is required. I know exactly what is required. I know that you need to take care of the details, and you need to not just pray about it, you need to actually move and talk to people and get the details taken care of. But not only that, you need to hold the anxiety for a lot of people that have stage fright and that are nervous. And then when it's all over, when it's time to go on stage, you have to surrender it all to the great stage manager in the sky and just trust that it will be okay. That's right. You go, girl. Yeah. Now, when I took my high school aptitude test, do you think it said that? You will have to surrender to the great stage manager in the sky. No, it didn't, but it felt so right. It felt so right. So again, I encourage all of you to look for moments in that life, in your life, moments where things come together and you absolutely know that you are shining your light in a way that is unique and wonderful, infinite and intimate to you, because these things will ripple. These things will ripple and bless the entire world. And that's part of it too, is seeing the ripples. I'm going to tell you a story about rippling. And this is a story that I often tell around September 11th. And I tell it to help us feel less helpless. When tragedies happen, when challenges happen, when the world seems crazy, it can often feel like we are helpless, and that things are not working out as they should, and that there's nothing that we can do about it. But the truth is that we can do something about it. So this is a story about somebody that I actually don't know, but she's a friend of a friend. And right after September 11th, I happened to be living in the San Fernando Valley at the time, and I was freshly out of New York. And when I was in New York, I was involved in the music business there. So I had a lot of friends still that were involved in that business, and after the towers fell in New York, we were emailing just to make sure that everybody was okay. And we were getting emails back and forth, people checking in on each other, and a lot of people were talking about how they were serving and how they were volunteering. And this one woman that I know who is an accompanist, she was making her Carnegie Hall debut with a singer who was making his Carnegie Hall debut. And she said, I feel so terrible. I feel so terrible. Everybody's helping. Everybody's doing great things. And I have to sit around and practice the piano. And one by one, people responded and they said, the world needs music at this time. You need to play. You need to sing. We need to bring music to the world. And then there was one response that stood out. And this was a woman who was a registered nurse. And her whole life, from just being a child to the age of 40, she had wanted to sing. She wanted to sing so badly, but she felt like it wasn't practical. And it's not, by the way. And she felt like it wasn't practical, and she felt like she wasn't good enough. But somehow she went to nursing school. This is not about me, by the way. It sounds like me, but it's not about me. She went to nursing school, and she decided to become a nurse. And then in the midst of being a nurse, she decided to start taking voice lessons. And she was spending a lot of time and a lot of money. Voice lessons are really expensive in New York, but she was investing a lot. And it didn't make sense because the repertoire that she liked was the old stuff. You know, the stuff that Julie Andrews would sing. Right? Those were the good old days, right? The stuff that Julie Andrews would sing, or what's her face, the one you play for, Shirley Jones. Yeah, Shirley Jones. All of that was what she loved, but she was too old to sing those parts. But she kept on doing it. She kept on doing it without wondering, with wondering what the purpose of it all was. And so it happened that the day 9/11, when the towers fell, that she was working at St. Vincent's Hospital in New York, where they brought a lot of people that had been injured or killed. And she was at work that day, and the ER was just an incredible mess. There were bodies piling up and people coming in all states of tragic disarray, and people in pain and people screaming. And there was one woman that was in so much pain. A huge percentage of her body was burned, and she was crying, and she was screaming, and she was saying, please, please, somebody do something about the pain. The pain medicine isn't working. It's not working. Please, somebody do something. Say something. Hold my hand. Can't somebody just sing something? And there was a hush, an instantaneous hush. And the nurse, the singing nurse, who knew all the wrong repertoire, stepped forward and sang, when the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things. Then I don't feel so bad. And you may ask yourself, what difference does that make? What difference does it make that that nurse followed her dream to become a singer and then shone her light in that ER? What difference does that make? But it made a difference to the woman who was crying. And look how many people are blowing their noses now and wiping their eyes. I've told this story so many times, and it always has the same effect. That one moment, that fragment, it's like a star. It happened in the past, and we are seeing it as it happened then, but it is still affecting us. It is still impacting us. It is rippling out to bless the world in magnificent, infinite, and intimate ways. So we choose something like a star. We choose to find what makes us come alive and do that. One of the things I truly hope for all of us, for everyone here today, is that you find what makes you come alive. And I hope for many of you that this spiritual center helps you come alive. Because you are needed here. You are important here. We are doing the work of bringing greater kindness, greater generosity, greater love to the world. We are being love. We are serving love. We are sharing love. We are doing all of those things and so much more, and we are doing it in community. And it's not always pretty. You know, I was thinking love sometimes smells like sweaty hugs and stuff on the ramp that we don't want to talk about, but it can also smell like fresh coffee, and love can taste like the cookies that Carol bakes every Sunday, and love can sound like the beautiful choir, and love can look like all of these beautiful faces sitting here in this congregation, sitting here in this circle, sitting here in this circle of life and circle of love that ripples out and blesses the world as we bring these words to our homes, to our families, to our workplaces, to our politicians, to everybody. We are the change that we wish to see the world, and we have to act like it. And how good it is to know, that in all of this, we are supported, not only by the universe, by the celestial bodies that shine their light on us. We are supported by our beautiful, blessed, beloved practitioners that shine their light through them to all of us. I'm going to ask the practitioners to stand again, and we're going to applaud for them, okay? Stand up, practitioners. There you go. And please be seated and let us pray. And we turn within. Let's just take some deep breaths together. Just allowing ourselves to be still and know the truth, the oneness, the love, the grace, all that is, all of these things that we feel so deeply, all of these things are so real. There's so much more real than the power that we give to things that seem against us. They are so much more real than anything. They are the emptiness, they are the fullness. All of these things is the truth of our existence, and we anchor in the knowing of that truth, and then we drop down into our heart, and we enter into that infinite in an intimate manner. Knowing that these qualities, the grace, the joy, the love, the goodness, the kindness, the harmony, all of these things have already been implanted in our souls. That they are who we are, or we wouldn't be here, not only in this center, but we wouldn't be here in our bodies. And so today, collectively, let us commit to lift each other up in supporting the evolution of these qualities within us, so that we may choose something like a star, so that we may find what makes us come alive and offer that to the world freely and fully and abundantly, so that we can trust and know that we have a silent partner that is love that moves through us at all times, and that we may embrace our joy, and that we may embrace our fear, and that we may know when we come into alignment with that which is right and noble, so that we can be the change makers in the world. Changing ourselves, leading by inner transformation, and then rippling that out to the entire universe, knowing that what we do is a profound blessing. And I'm so grateful for this spiritual truth, so grateful for this center, so grateful for the transformation that I know is taking place in each of us here today as we support one another, so grateful for our beautiful practitioners and all people that support us and lift us to greater understanding of the truth of existence, absolute reality. I'm grateful for this teaching, and I bless it as I bless all paths to God. Churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams. I bless fundamentalists. I bless atheists, for I trust that everyone is a blessing. And with a heart that is so filled with blessedness, I say, thank you, Spirit, thank you, God, and I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. bigger and stronger too. Maybe. But none of them will ever love you the way I do. Just me and you. And as the years